Let's go. Welcome to the main event. Applying pressure, but I promise I ain't make it then. In their heads, living free, I ain't paying rent. Wake up in the AM, making G's like Mercedes-Benz. Whoa, yeah, please don't take it.
Welcome to the Pinnacle Living Podcast, helping you reach the pinnacle of both life and business. Here with the CEO of Financially Fluent, Drake Sanders, man. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. I appreciate you having me.
Dude, love to have you here, bro. I received an incredible compliment for you, and it was someone who hadn't met you yet in Pinnacle, but they followed you on social media, and they're watching. They're like, okay, one day Drake is driving this beautiful Porsche and going somewhere nice, and then another day he's at this gorgeous restaurant driving another amazing car. Then he's at this grand opening, and then he's with all these killers. So he's like, what does Drake do? I want to do it.
Insurance.
And I'm like, dude, you do the same thing. And he's like, it doesn't feel like it. So your social media presence is very strong. So
Yes,
talk to people about that.
Yeah, so, we live in a digital age. So, everybody's on their phone. And this is something that I've always, kind of been into social media ever since, back in the MySpace days and then Facebook, and then it evolved to Instagram and so forth. But I kind of just, would show my life and stuff for fun, for leisure. And when I realized how much of an impact it had, business-wise, I realized that, I really need to share more and show more of my life, because life insurance in general is not a very attractive industry.
Right.
Nobody, as a kid is going to school and the teacher's like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And like, oh, I want to be a life insurance agent. Nobody does that. So, especially from a recruiting standpoint, I want people to see that this industry can be life-changing, and it can be fun, and it can be lucrative, and it can be rewarding. And so I do a great deal of recruiting just from my social media, because, just like you said, that guy said that, people inquire all the time when they see me pull up in the car, the way I dress or the way I present myself. Everybody asks me like, well, what do you do?
Yeah.
And that just opens up the door for conversation.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you asked. I do life insurance, and we're hiring.
Yeah.
So, it just segues into a great recruiting topic.
Yeah, I think it's so powerful that you guys are literally doing the same thing, but your presentation of it was so much more attractive. It got him to ask, which I think is perfect. And dude, talking about showing the lifestyle, because I think you're right. When people think financial services, maybe they got a picture of like Scrooge in an office scribbling away with like his assistant right there, and this guy's hoarding money. It's not, but dude, you're out there with your kids. You're out there helping people. It's fun. It's attractive. Yeah, you work really hard, and yeah, you make great money, but it's not like shackles to you.
It's not. There's a lot of freedom and autonomy that comes with this industry. And that's one of the main reasons why I got into it. Because I've been in the corporate setting before where I had a set schedule and I had to do this and I had to, walk a straight line, and I kind of had to conform to wherever I was working at. And with this industry, you truly work for yourself, and you can be whoever you want to be. And it allows, me to be able to be who I am and live my life and still impact families and, make good money and show people, how fun this industry can truly be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, dude, this is a great segue, because we talked about the beauty of what this can be. Dude, let's talk about the grind, because you coming into the industry was very different. So
it didn't start off that way.
Yeah. So obviously you're an entrepreneur. You've had this mindset for a long time. Give people a little background on you and talk about how you got into this industry.
Yeah, for sure. So started off, went to college. I'm from Ohio originally, so I'm from Columbus. Went to the Ohio State University. Go Bucks, you already know. That's actually where, I met my business partner, Dr. Eli. But from Ohio, and got my degree in business administration. Kind of didn't really know, what I wanted to do with it, but I studied business because I knew I wanted to, be an entrepreneur at some point. And kind of like a lot of college kids, you get that degree and you check that off the box. My parents were happy. And then I'm just like, okay, what next? What do I do with this? So from there, I started getting a series of different licenses. I started to recognize very quickly that licenses, especially these days, are like the new degrees. You can make more money with certain licenses than even, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and a doctor's degree.
Yeah.
So I got just a bunch of licenses. I went and got my real estate license. I went and got my property and casualty license. I went and got my life insurance license, my health insurance license. And I didn't know what I was going to do with it.
Yeah, you were just opening doors.
Yeah, I just went and got all of them because I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try all this and, see what sticks. So my first introduction into life insurance, I was working for a final expense company. And this was back in 2013. And this was pre-COVID. So the business wasn't virtual yet.
Right.
And, I was buying leads, and these were leads where you had to go and do in-home presentations. So I was putting a ton of miles on my car, driving to different area codes and zip codes. And, and I'm in Ohio at that. So, through the snow, through the winter, going to people's houses, getting no-showed, and it was final expense at that.
Oh,
so
I'm walking into nursing homes sometimes, I'm sure.
I did several presentations at a bunch of nursing homes, and needless to say, it wasn't for me at that time. I was like, you know what, this is what I got to do. Unfortunately, like this is not very befitting for me. And the guy that introduced me to the industry, even to this day, he's super successful in life insurance. He owns his own IMO and stuff now, but at the end of he showed me his paycheck back then, and he was making like $175,000 a year, and he had only been doing it a couple of years. So that's what got my attention. But when I seen what I had to do to make that, and what I didn't see was how much he was spending in leads and how much miles. He had went through 3 cars in 2 years because he's putting so many miles on his car. So I was like, you know what, this isn't for me. And then I tried I did real estate after that. I worked at Morgan Stanley because I got my Series 6 and my 63. So I was working as a junior advisor at Morgan Stanley for a couple of years, tried that. And that's when I really kind of fell in love with financial services. Okay. Working at Morgan Stanley. And so to fast forward to what I'm doing right now, after COVID, that's kind of when telesales and everything really evolved. Right. Because you couldn't be this close to somebody, and you couldn't go to people's houses. And so it evolved. Telesales kind of, got my attention. And then once I realized, like, okay, like I can do this from home. I can do this, on vacation. All I needed was just, a cell phone and my laptop and a Wi-Fi connection, and I can make money anywhere. I think that was a game changer for me. And I just, from 2020 all the way up until now, I kind of just rolled it out, and here we are. Yeah.
So fell in love with financial services, and it sounds like telesales is what really got you back in.
It was convenient. And because mainly when I was doing in-home presentations, I wasn't licensed in all 50 states. So I was only licensed in Ohio. And so I couldn't help anybody outside of Ohio. And once the telesales evolved, I'm like, okay, I can get licensed in multiple states, and I can help somebody in California. I can help somebody in Texas. I can help somebody in Ohio while I'm residing in Florida on the beach, and I was like, yeah, this is, and I can still make the same amount of money, without even, you don't even need a car, doing the telesales way. So for me, it was just a game changer. And, once that came into play, I think that's really what got my attention. So I'm like, okay, I got the convenience of being able to make my own schedule and do what I want, as well as, I still get to do financial services and help people and sell, because I love sales. I've been in sales my whole life. So that's when it really clicked for me.
Yeah. I would imagine after that amount of business experience, a couple different industries, falling in love with financial services, and just seeing what you guys have achieved up to this point. Financially Fluent, doing in excess of $500,000 a month in business. You guys are growing like wildfire. Did you come into this at 2020? Did you come into it with the mindset of like, I want to build a business? And what did that look like?
So I did at the time. I knew I had to work my way up because I was getting back into the business from taking, like a 7-year sabbatical. Yeah. So I knew it wouldn't happen right away, but my end goal was I definitely want to have my own agency for sure. So I started that by building a team under another agency that I was partnered with. And like I said, I've always been good at recruiting. So within like my first 6 months of working at this previous agency, I had like 70 downlines. Wow. And that's when I really started to see the leverage that you can build in this industry, because I went from being a really good personal producer to now, I got to a point to where I didn't even have to produce anymore if I didn't want to. Sure. I could just lead people and help them, build their business out, and I was making great money. Yeah. And then from there, that's where I met one of my business partners now. He was actually one of my top agents then. Perfect. Was Eli, and we decided he was brilliant. The guy obviously worked super hard. And so after my team got to a certain size and he had his own team as well, I'm like, man, why don't we just combine this thing? And instead of being upline, downline, your team, my team, let's just come together and start our own agency and do our own thing and focus on, providing financial services and financial literacy to minorities.
Yeah.
Because I believe, if you focus on a specific niche in this industry, it kind of paves the way for the trajectory of your business instead of just trying to cast a wide net. I said, let's focus on a specific, niche. This to me is underserved.
Yeah.
And it's worked out tremendously.
Dude, let's go into that a little bit more because I think that goes into the meaning of Financially Fluent. I don't think you guys picked that name out of anywhere. No. There's a deep meaning behind that. Talk about that.
Yeah, so our original business name was Exposure is Everything. Okay. And that came from my social medias because everybody that I recruited came from me having exposure.
Right.
But when me and Eli sat down and talked about it, I'm like, you know what, like, we can't name our agency Exposure is Everything. I'm like, this sounds like a media company.
Right.
So I was like, what can we do that's really going to focus in on the mission that we're trying to accomplish? And so we spent like 2 or 3 days just sending names back to each other. He would send me something like, that's not quite it. Then I send him something and like, that's cool, but that's not it. And then I'm like, okay, what do we want to focus on? We want to focus on providing financial literacy. We want people to be, fluent in their finances, and then it just clicked. I'm just like, fluent in their finances, financially fluent.
Boom.
That's it. And it just had a ring to it. And I'm like, man, financially fluent, like that's hard.
Yeah, it is.
Like, and then we got the logo made, and then after that, I was like, it's a wrap. Like, I'm like, yeah, like that's it, financially fluent. It just stood out to me, and it speaks to exactly what we want to do because even though we do insurance, we really focus on financial literacy even outside of insurance.
Yeah.
So, we want to teach people how to manage their finances, how to get their credit together, how to use life insurance as a vehicle, to create generational wealth. It's not just about, I die and my beneficiaries gets the money. Like, we want you to have your whole household in order when it comes to finances. And so that's kind of where that came from.
I love it so much. And dude, I see it just in like the normal training that happens within Financially Fluent because I see the level to which agents get trained. Like they're getting thorough training in financial services, like at the very, very beginning. I saw Eli presenting to a client the other day and client is clearly not going to buy, but Eli is taking that extra step to educate the client about what they asked about, and that ended up being referral business for him. But he's just, I'm going to add value here, and that really is the core mission of Financially Fluent. And dude, it's felt throughout the whole organization. You guys help a ton of people, ton of agents, so it must be pretty cool seeing that vision realized among the whole agency.
Oh yeah, it's very rewarding. And like you say, even if we don't sell a particular policy on that phone call, when you get off the phone with us and when you get off the phone with our agents, we want that person to at least leave with something tangible. Even if it's just knowledge, even if they're not ready to buy today, or they might not be in position to move forward, at least to leave that phone call with something to think about.
Yeah.
And so, if we can provide knowledge and give you some insight on something that you weren't privy to prior to the conversation, then in my opinion, we still did our job.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Drake, something I think that people would love to hear from you, having so much entrepreneurial experience in sales, like looking for what was best, because clearly you were like, okay, let me try a little bit of everything, open doors, find what is best for me, it's so funny what we talked about at the very beginning, like somebody doing the same thing, but you presented it so differently that they were like, well, what is that? It feels like something completely different. It seems like that's almost your same journey within insurance because you got that, your toe dipped into insurance, but it wasn't exactly what you were looking for, but you ended up here on something completely different. So dude, let me edit that part. So you ended up here in really the same industry, but going about it completely different.
Yeah.
So talk to people who come into this business, they're already entrepreneurial minded, and they want to build a business here. Because I'm sure there was some hiccups along the way. There was some learning curves. Someone coming in just like you who like maybe a business in business in financial services is for me. How do I go about it?
So, just like we tell our agents, find your why. I believe it's the same thing, when when you get into financial services. Like, figure out why you want to do it first, because I will say this industry is not for everyone. A lot of agencies have high turnover rate, and I think it's because, especially nowadays, people see how attractive it is from an income standpoint, but they don't realize the work and the knowledge that, that really comes into it to really, really do it the right way and to be successful. So first ask yourself, like, why do I want to do financial services? Why do I want to sell life insurance? And if the answer to that is, I want to help people while making good money, but I understand that it's going to take hard work. There's not going to be any instant gratification, and that I need to do something to set myself apart from the thousands and, of other insurance agents out there, then, this might be for you. But if you're not a people person, if you don't work hard, if you're not open to change, if you're not willing to adapt to the times, because, we leverage a lot of technology at Financially Fluent.
Yeah.
So, if you're one of those people that's just stuck in your ways and, you refuse to adapt to times, then it might not be a good fit for you. And if you do identify that it's a good fit for you, then the next question I would ask yourself is like, okay, what can I do to set myself apart? What do I want to focus on? The good thing I love about insurance is there's so many different avenues within insurance.
Yeah.
You can focus on mortgage protection and just kill that. You can focus on advanced markets with annuities and premium finance cases.
Yeah.
You can focus on IULs and infinite banking concept. You can focus on healthcare and Medicare and private insurance and ACA. I mean, there's literally like 8 different avenues that you can take with one license.
Right.
So, find something that you really want to focus on and then master that.
Yeah.
Don't try to be a jack of all trades. I'm gonna do a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of that. No, find one thing in insurance that you want to focus on and become a master at it.
Yeah.
And then from there, you can diversify.
Yeah, and that's phenomenal advice. I mean, you're the perfect example of that because, obviously, really mastered IULs. That was the main thing that Financially Fluent focused on. Of course, still does.
Yeah.
And then as coming to Pinnacle, like it seemed like annuities was that just perfect fit. And you yourself submitted over $1 million annuity after like a week or two of the initial training.
Yes, sir.
And so, like you said, mastering that discipline obviously built your business around it. And now it's like, okay, adding another piece of business is simple.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I didn't try to focus on something that doesn't align with what I'm already good at. Like I said, the reason why I like IULs is because it ties in, the investing and kind of like more of like the financial advisory sort of position that I kind of already came from. So, educating people on how they can, build cash value and earn compound interest and how it's tied to the market and things like that. Those are things I was already interested in. So annuities is just the next step up.
Yeah.
And so, once I got some knowledge about that and was able to collaborate with, the annuities team at Pinnacle and get some education on it, I just knew for me that was the next level of progression.
Yeah, dude, that's phenomenal. Talk about the origins of Financially Fluent in this partnership that you have.
Yeah.
You, Eli, Carlos.
Yep.
I think that from the moment I met with you guys, I'm like, dude, these are the boys. Like, these guys are best friends.
Yeah, we are.
They think about business very similarly. They have their own strengths and they complement each other in business. And, in my years in insurance, I've had a lot of people come to me about potential partnerships. A lot of times it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And people just like the idea, but it's obvious that you guys were extremely intentional about your partnership. Talk to us about how that happened.
Honestly, man, I to this day, it's nothing short of divine intervention, because I never foresaw any of this. Even when I first partnered with Eli, I had no idea that we would, end up having our own agency one day or that we would be business partners. And the same thing with Carlos. I met Carlos at a networking event, and he came from a corporate banking background. He was a VP at a very successful, widely known Fortune 500 bank. And he was on the panel speaking about financial services, and then I spoke about insurance at the same networking event. And he kind of just reached out to me afterwards, and was like, "Hey man, like I love what you were talking about. I'd love to get lunch sometime. What can we do to see how we can help each other?" And at the time, I don't think even he was interested, in particularly joining the business with me. He just kind of just wanted to see what I had going on, and vice versa. And, here we are, a year later, and now me, Carlos, and Eli are business partners, but I don't think any of us were looking for this. It kind of just happened organically. So when it comes to choosing a business partner, one, I wouldn't say force it, because like I said, all this came together organically. I wasn't looking for a business partner, when I started Financially Fluent at first, and Carlos wasn't looking for me. We just kind of happened to be in the right place at the right time, and everything just kind of fell into place. But also too, I think another reason why it works is we all have the same belief system, and we have a great synergy because we are so different.
Yeah.
I don't think I could be partnering with somebody that's just like me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work. I have a very strong personality. I can be stubborn sometimes. I don't listen a lot of times. So, I need business partners that are going to be patient, and both of them are very patient with me. Carlos more than Eli. Carlos is probably the most patient out of the three of us. Eli's like, man, like, let's go. Like, he wants things done yesterday. You know what I mean? And so, but they're both very understanding. And so we come from three different backgrounds. We're three different age groups. So I think it just works out. Eli's the youngest. I'm in the middle. Carlos is the oldest. So, Carlos provides the wisdom. Eli's like, the fresh new idea type guy, and then I'm right in the middle. So it just works. Yeah. And honestly, like I said, it's nothing short of divine intervention because, there's even the way all of us met, it just doesn't seem like real sometimes. I'm like, man, like, how did this even happen? But definitely God's work for sure.
Talk about the gaps, because obviously all of you guys bring something unique to the table. It's like you think about business similarly, but you have different skill sets, different personalities. What gaps did you see in your business that you were like, okay, this is something I'm good at, this is something Eli's good at, this is something that Carlos is good at? So
goes kind of back down to like our let's start at our title. So like obviously I'm the CEO. Typically a CEO was like the visionary for the company. So I would consider myself like the visionary, the face. I'm very outgoing. I love the network, love to recruit, love to meet people. Those are my strengths. I'm very good at building relationships. I have a lot of strong relationships, and it's because of my personality and the way I just approach people. Like I feel like when I'm in a room with a group of people, like everybody wants to know, like, hey, who's that guy? Or like, what does he do? Like, I've always been good at that. And then I'm able to garner those relationships and cultivate them and, leverage them. Yeah. Eli is very methodical, very analytical. That's why he's our chief of operations. He handles all the back end work of the company. He's not as outgoing and stuff as me. He doesn't care about being really in the spotlight. Even sometimes when we'll have to decide like who's going to do an interview, he'll always like, oh, you can do it, man. Like you take it. Like he doesn't really care about that. Yeah. But on the back end side, he doesn't miss a beat. He doesn't. Even like when it comes to numbers, like if there's a decimal out of place, he'll recognize it. So he's very analytical. And then Carlos, he's like almost like a hybrid. He's like a blend of me and Eli. He's more outgoing, but not as outgoing as me. He's analytical, but not as analytical as, Eli. He's kind of really, if somebody like took me and Eli and created a person out of us, it would be Carlos. So he creates the balance because Eli's on this end of the spectrum, I'm on this end of the spectrum. So even if it was just me and Eli, I feel like we would just clash a lot. You know what I mean? But with Carlos being right in the middle, he can understand my point of view as well as understanding Eli's point of view. Yeah. And so I think, that's what really makes us work for sure.
That's so strong. And I think for people, like I love how you said it happened. You didn't force it. It happened organically. It was all you guys just thinking, okay, what's best for the business? Yeah. And what does everybody bring? Yeah. And I think people just having that clear, I think none of that would have happened if you didn't have a clear vision for where you wanted to go. Yeah. So the fact that you had that made it easy.
And you have to recognize, your weaknesses. And I feel like I know for a fact, we wouldn't be headed in the direction that we're headed if we weren't business partners. I don't feel like, any of us could have gone about this alone, but together, we're a force to be reckoned with. And so sometimes it just boils down to not being selfish and not being, naive to the fact that sometimes you need help.
Yeah.
And to get to where I wanted Financially Fluent to get to, I needed help.
Yeah.
And so, these guys provide that for me, and it just works really well.
Yeah. Well, dude, obviously this combination of you guys, I mean, it's created rocket fuel. You guys have tripled, almost quadrupled this year alone. And dude, the heat that you guys have, I'm just here with you today in the Tampa office, and that one office, and you guys are all over. I'm like, dude, the heat in this one room is awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, talk about what really clicked this year in particular for you guys to see this dramatic growth and what next year is going to look like.
So, we spent a lot of this year, and I told Carlos, I said, this year was like the year of learning and the year of lessons. We tried a bunch of different things, even monetarily. We threw money at a bunch of different projects, just trying to see what would stick, what wouldn't, what would work out, what wouldn't. And we really wanted to set the groundwork for our agents, from a structural standpoint. We wanted to make this business as automated as possible, and we wanted to make it as seamless as possible for a new agent coming in with zero experience to get, from A to Z in the quickest amount of time possible. So we spent a lot of time and resources just trying to develop that structure, making sure that we had the best technology, the best leads, the best training, the best support, because, we didn't want agents coming in feeling like, they're just all over the place.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we see agencies do that. Though you get licensed, the agent comes in, and then after that, they feel like they're kind of just left to their own vices.
Right.
And they kind of just got to figure it out. And some people can do that.
Right.
Some people can just come into an industry and learn everything on their own and, not have to be handheld. But the vast majority need structure.
Yeah.
And so we spent this whole year just tying the loose ends together. So that way next year we could focus fully on just going ham on the recruiting.
Yeah.
Because now when an agent comes in, they don't have to figure anything out.
Oh yeah, I feel it. Just being in the office, being around the new agents, like you have a tight system.
Yeah, and it has to be that way. And especially in a 1099 environment, where there's not W-2, we're not going to be babysitting you. We're not going to be checking on you every 2 seconds to see what you're working on, if you're calling, if you're dialing, if you're, prospecting. But if we know if we give you the right resources and lay out the right roadmap, and we're still there to support you, then it makes it a lot easier for people that may not be used to this environment to succeed.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking as an entrepreneur in a couple different industries, I think the temptation for every entrepreneurial minded person is you want to automate as much as you can, right? You don't want to repeat repetitive tasks.
Yep.
But in a people business like ours, there's certain things you can automate and there's certain things you can't.
Of course.
Speak to what you guys discovered this year. Okay, these things are things we can automate. This can be something we need to do the same way every time. And what things just can't be automated.
So as far as like communicating with our clients, a lot of that especially the upfront communication, we've got that completely automated. So for example, with our leads, when a lead comes in, client fills it out online, they submit it, it goes into our CRM. We use AI to start communicating with the lead automatically, start building rapport right away, so we have that speed to lead. And then, we're encourage our agents that as soon as you get a lead, in addition to them being texted right away, make sure that you're hopping on the phone with them right away. But the good thing is even if you can't get to that client right away via phone, at least we've already had one touch point established, which is a text message. And so that goes out immediately. So upfront communication is something that we knew we could automate, but even the back-end communication, after an agent closes a deal, we use technology for the follow-up, payment reminders, text, all these different dispositions and stuff that we have built into our CRM to kind of make that process easier, because we know how agents are. After they sell and they know that commission's on the way, they're not going to be as inclined to follow up with that client, every 2 weeks or 30 days or 60 days, 90 days, and so forth to keep that client engaged. So those are all things that we knew we had to automate. But something that you can't automate, and then you just have to have it in you, is you have to have the work ethic, because even with all the resources and technology and stuff that we have, you still got to get on the phones.
Right.
You still got to work the hours. You still got to make sure that you have enough appointments. And even if you don't have appointments, let's say you have a day full of appointments and everybody no shows.
Right.
You still have to have the discipline to get on the phone and still dial.
Right.
And you still got to, because we're in an all commission environment.
Yeah.
So if you don't sell, you don't make anything.
Yeah.
So, you have to, the work ethic is the thing. So number one thing that, you can't automate. That's something that a person just has to have and be willing to do. Everything else, if you got the work ethic and you're willing to learn, we can teach you how to sell, even if you have no sales experience. We can teach you how to, keep the client. We can teach you everything, but you have to be willing to do there. To do it, and you got to be willing to be there.
Yeah.
You got to be present, whether you're a virtual agent or, an in-person agent. You just got to put the work in. So that's the one thing that can't be automated. Everything else we can take care of.
Yeah, elbow grease not included. You got to come with that.
You have to. And if you got work ethic, plus all the resources and tools we provide, the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
And we make it to where you don't have to work as hard as you used to.
Yeah.
We say all the time, like, our agents these days are spoiled.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like I just told you, when I first got in the industry, there were no CRM. There was no, automations. If I didn't drive to somebody's house and, hope they were there.
Dude, I can't tell you the level of jealousy that I have. Like thinking about full dial days. Then, I got to drive to a couple hours away to a different time zone. So it's like I need to leave at like 5 o'clock my time to get there for an 8 o'clock appointment, full day of appointments. Maybe I'm only able to fit in 8 because of the time distance with driving. And then half of those no-shows. So I'm only actually getting 4 presentations. Dude, how many presentations can you fit in on a calendar when you're not driving anywhere? Just calling somebody no-shows. Oh, I have another fresh lead that just filled it out. I'm calling them now.
Hot off the press.
Doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it's insane. When I was, driving to people's houses, if I got an hour, 2 hours out and those appointments didn't show, they no-showed me when I got to their house, we would do something called T-knocking, where I would literally go to the strangers' houses next door and across the street. People that didn't inquire about insurance at all, because if I just drove 2 hours out, I got to get something
trying to make something happen.
I got to make something work. I don't want to just go back home after I just, drove all this way and gas and everything. So, going from having to do that and door knock on strangers' houses and stuff sometimes just to try to, make something shake, to now if an appointment doesn't show up, I just hop on the dialer and just start, dialing the rest of my leads. Like, it's easier than ever before to make it work.
It sounds cliche, but like it really seems like we're in a golden age for insurance.
Oh, we
for
are.
Financial services, what we do.
We are. Sometimes I wonder, I'm like, man, when are the insurance companies going to get hip to this?
Right.
Because, are they going to start lowering our commissions or what? Because this is getting too easy, you know what I mean, compared to what we had to do to make the same amount of money.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a great opportunity, and that's why I tell people, I don't know how long, it's going to be like this, especially with AI and stuff these days. I'm like, man, you got to get it while the getting is good, because the industry could totally change in 10 years to where, they don't need agents to call you anymore. You just sign yourself up via AI and the insurance companies don't even have to pay out a commission.
Yeah.
So, while it's this sweet, take advantage.
Dude, that's a fact. Dude, on that, obviously, we're tremendously excited about the Financially Fluent Pinnacle partnership that happened this year.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, talk about the reason why that happened and what the growth is going to look like next year, 2025.
Well, for one, man, the IMO that we came from, we were pretty successful there, but, we just we never really felt like that was like our true home. And when it comes to our agency, finding the right fit, just like with the business partners, you want to make sure that it's going to be an environment that's going to be conducive to our success, our agent success, and that, we feel like we can align on all cylinders and really grow. Because who you align yourself with really determines the trajectory of and your aptitude of where you're going to, become. So with you guys, everything kind of just felt right, man.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, when you, meet the right person, to date, it's like, man, like, this feels right. And so we had an initial conversation with Joe. And at the time, the timing just wasn't right. I feel like timing is everything.
Of course.
We had a great initial interaction with him, but it just wasn't the right timing. And then once we revisited, maybe 4 or 5 months later, the timing was perfect. And, we're happy to be here. So we really, really feel that we made the right decision. Our agents feel it. They can't be more excited than than have this partnership with you guys. And just for all the resources that you guys provide. I love that you guys, believe in, spiritual based?
Mm-hmm.
Are you very spiritual based? It's not just about like the money or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's really about helping people.
Mm-hmm.
You guys do a lot of community outreach, you know, a lot of things outside of just insurance. You guys truly believe in not just sales, but developing the person on all angles. You know, spiritually, mentally, physically. I noticed, you know, you guys do Bible studies together. I see you guys got agencies that work out together. They have group workout sessions, and everybody seems like everybody. And I don't know. It seems crazy, but it seems like everybody genuinely is supportive of each other and gets along.
Yeah.
You know, the IMO that I was at before, it was like the Wild Wild West. There was a lot of drama, a lot of gossip, you know, a lot of competition. You know, this agency didn't want this agency to succeed. And, you know, this agency, if they're doing really well and this agency reached out for help, if they're not getting paid off of them, they don't even want to help. With you guys, it's like everybody's a team player.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anything like it, to be honest. So it just felt really good to be in an environment like that.
Thank God, man. Dude, I feel the same way. I remember I'm like the cautious person in our business partnership. Joe's like, I'm like, I don't know. So he's like,
you gotta have the skeptic.
Yeah. Like, what do you think about these guys? And I remember the first time we sat down and we talked for, I don't know, it was probably like 15 minutes. And I'm like, it was just like you said, I was like, this feels right.
Yeah.
Like this feels, and just same thing, like what you guys do in the community, the way you care for agents and clients. Like I'm like, man, this is our people.
Yeah.
And like I love this. So dude, what does next year look like? Because I mean, you guys are as primed as I've ever seen anybody.
We're revved up.
The work that you've done this year, like in preparation, what you guys have already grown to, and just seeing, like I felt like I was at your office. I felt like I was sitting in a powder keg. I'm like all these young, sharp, hard workers, people after it, people circled around you guys, listening, learning, asking questions. I'm like, this is it. So what's next year going to look like?
Man, next year we just expect exponential growth. We're going, you know, full force on recruiting. We want to share this opportunity with as many people as possible. Obviously, the right fit, because, you know, we don't want to just take on any and everyone. But, you know, now that we have the groundwork laid and we have such a great IMO and a partnership with you guys, and we have all the resources, all the tools that we need, and we know that we have everything to take somebody from A to Z and for them to be successful, we just expect exponential growth. We're going to recruit, and, you know, just turn this into a powerhouse with you guys. So super, super, super excited. And I honestly, I can't wait. I think, like I said, this year was the groundwork. This is the year we learned a lot of lessons. You guys came at the perfect time. And, you know, next year we're just ready to take off.
I love it, dude. If someone's out there watching this, they're not an agent, they're thinking about being an agent, how do they get a hold of you?
So you can reach us a number of different ways. You can go to our website, which is www.befinfluent.com, and that's FINFLUENT, short for Financially Fluent. You can also write us on social media. On our Instagram page is @BeFinFluent, or you can reach out to us via Facebook at Financially Fluent.
And I know you love to add value to entrepreneurs, man. You're out there doing it all the time. If you got any entrepreneur at any age thinking about this, thinking about Financially Fluent, thinking about financial services, and just looking to be successful, what is a golden nugget you'd give to that person?
Just go for it, man. You know, you got to take risk. You know, working in this industry is you got to take a chance on yourself and you got to bet on yourself. But if you believe in yourself and you believe it, you know, what you can offer a value to somebody else and how you can possibly impact somebody else, then I feel like, you know, financial services, insurance, and Financially Fluent and Pinnacle would be a great home for you. You know, we got all the resources for you. We'll empower you. We'll motivate you. Just bring a humble attitude, work ethic, and, you know, we can change your life.
Drake, this has been phenomenal. Thank you so much for pouring into agents today, man.
Yeah, I
and
appreciate it,
can't wait
man.
to see Financially Fluent success. 2025 is going to be a crazy year.
Hey, let's do it, brother. Thank you, man.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. God bless you. We'll see you at the Pinnacle.